Welcome to the Read Aloud for May 12th. Here we go. Okay, remember, practice something every day and then you'll get good at it. But you gotta do it every day. Okay, here we go. Well, my room is number 554. Mine, 554, is on the 5th floor, so hers, 454, will be on the 4th floor. That's correct, my grandmother said. Then don't you think it's possible that room 454 is directly underneath room 554? That's more than likely, she said. These modern hotels are all built like boxes of bricks, but what if it is? Would you please take me out of my balcony so I can look down, I said. All the rooms in the Hotel Magnificent had small private balconies. My grandmother carried me through into my own bedroom out onto my balcony. We both peered down to the balcony immediately below. Now, if that is her room, I said, then I'll bet I could climb down there somehow and get in. And get caught all over again, my grandmother said. I won't allow it. At this moment, I said, all the witches are down on the Sunshine Terrace having tea with the manager. The Grand High Witch probably won't be back until 6 o'clock or just before. That's when she's going to dish out supplies of that foul formula to the ancient ones who are too old to climb trees after gruntle eggs. And what if you did manage to get into her room, my grandmother said. What then? Then I should try to find the place where she keeps her supply of delayed action mouse maker, and if I succeed, then I will steal one bottle of it and bring it back here. Could you carry it? I think so, I said. It was a very small bottle. I'm frightened of that stuff, my grandmother said. What would you do with it if you did manage to get it? One bottle is enough for 500 people, I said. That would give each and every witch down there a double dose at least. We could turn them all into mice. My grandmother jumped about an inch in the air. We were out on my balcony and there was a drop of about 1,000,000 feet below us, and I very nearly bounced out of her hand over the railings when she jumped. Be careful with me, Grandma, I said. What an idea, she cried. It's fantastic. It's tremendous. You're a genius, my darling. Wouldn't it be something, I said. Wouldn't that really be something? We'd get rid of every witch in England in one swoop, she cried, and the Grand High Witch into the bargain. We've got to try it, I said. Listen, she said, nearly dropping me over the balcony once again in her excitement. If we brought this off, it would be the greatest triumph in the whole history of witchery. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do, I said. Of course there's a lot of work to do, she said. Just for a start, supposing you did manage to get a hold of one of those bottles, how would we get it into their food? We'll work that out later, I said. Let's try to get the stuff first. How can we find out for sure if that's her room just below us? We shall check it out immediately, my grandmother cried. Come along. There's not a second to waste. Carrying me in one hand, she went bustling out of the bedroom and along the corridor, banging her stick on the carpet with each step she took. She went down the stairs, one flight to the 4th floor. The bedrooms on either side of the corridor had their numbers painted on the doors in gold. Here it is, my grandmother cried, number 454. She tried the door. It was locked, of course. She looked up and down the long, empty hotel corridor. I believe you're right, she said. This room is almost certainly directly below yours. She marched back along the corridor, counting the number of doors from the Grand High Witch's room to the staircase. There were 6. She climbed back up to the 5th floor and repeated the exercise. She is directly below you, my grandmother cried out. Her room is right below yours. She carried me back into my bedroom and went out once again onto the balcony. That's her balcony right down there, she said. And what's more, the door from her balcony into her bedroom is wide open. How are you going to climb down? I don't know, I said. Our rooms were in front of the hotel and they looked down onto the beach and the sea. Immediately below my balcony, thousands of feet below, I could see a fence of spiked railings. If I fell, I'd be a goner. I've got it, my grandmother cried. With me in her hand, she rushed back into her room and began rummaging in her chest of drawers. She came out with a ball of blue knitting wool. One end was attached to some needles and a half-finished sock she had been knitting for me. This is perfect, she said. I shall put you in my sock and lower you down to the Grand High Witch's balcony, but we must hurry. Any moment now that monster will be returning to her room. The next chapter is called The Mouse Burglar. My grandmother hustled me back into my room, my own bedroom, and out onto the balcony. Are you ready? She asked. I'm going to put you in the sock now. I hope I can manage this, I said. I'm only a little mouse. You'll manage, she said. Good luck, my darling. And she popped me in the sock and started lowering me over the balcony. I crouched inside the sock and held my breath. Through the stitches, I could see out quite clearly. Miles below me, the children playing on the beach were the size of beetles. The sock started swinging in the breeze, and I looked up and saw my grandmother's head sticking out over the railings of the balcony above. You're nearly there, she called out. Here we go. Gently does it. You're down. I felt a slight bump. In you go, my grandmother was shouting. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Search the room. I jumped out of the sock and ran into the Grand High Witch's bedroom. There was the same musty smell about the place that I had noticed in the ballroom. It was the stench of witches. It reminded me of the smell inside the men's public lavatory at our local railway station. A lavatory is a bathroom. As far as I could see, the room was tidy enough. There was no sign anywhere that it was inhabited by anyone but an ordinary person, but then there wouldn't be, would there? No witch would be stupid enough to leave anything suspicious lying around for the hotel maid to see. Suddenly I saw a frog jumping across the carpet and disappearing under the bed. I jumped myself. Hurry up, came grandmother's voice from somewhere high up outside. Grab the stuff and get out. I started skittering around trying to search the room. This wasn't so easy. I couldn't, for example, open any of the drawers. I couldn't open the doors of the big wardrobe either. I stopped skittering about. I sat in the middle of the floor and had a think. If the Grand High Witch wanted to hide something top secret, where would she put it? Certainly not in an ordinary drawer. Not in the wardrobe either. That was too obvious. I jumped up on the bed to get a better view of the room. Hey, I thought, what about under the mattress? Very carefully, I lowered myself over the edge of the bed and wormed my way underneath the mattress. I had to push forward hard to make any headway, but I kept at it. I couldn't see a thing. I was scrabbling about under the mattress when my head suddenly bumped against something hard inside the mattress above me. I reached up and felt with my paw. Could it be a little bottle? It was a little bottle. I could trace the shape of it through the cloth of the mattress, and right alongside it I felt another hard lump, and another, and another. The Grand High Witch must have split open the mattress and put all the bottles inside, and then sewn it up again. I began tearing away frantically at the mattress cloth above my head with my teeth. My front teeth were extremely sharp, and it didn't take me long to make a small hole. I climbed into the hole and grabbed a bottle by the neck. I pushed it down through the hole in the mattress and climbed out. Walking backwards, I managed to reach the edge of the mattress. I rolled the bottle off the bed onto the carpet. It bounced, but it didn't break. I jumped down off the bed. I examined the little bottle. It was identical to the one the Grand High Witch had in the ballroom. There was a label on this one, Formula 86. It said, Delayed Action Mouse Maker. Then it said, this bottle contains 500 doses. Eureka! I felt tremendously pleased with myself. 3 frogs came hopping out from under the bed. They crouched on the carpet staring at me with large black eyes. I stared back at them. Those huge eyes were the saddest things I had ever seen. It suddenly occurred to me that almost certainly, once upon a time, they had been children. Those frogs, before the Grand High Witch had got a hold of them. I stood there clutching the bottle and staring at the frogs. Who are you? I asked. At that exact moment, I heard a key turning in the lock of the door, and the door burst open, and the Grand High Witch swept into the room. The frogs jumped underneath the bed again in one quick hop. I darted after them, still clutching the bottle, and I ran back against the wall and squeezed in behind one of the bedposts. I heard feet walking on the carpet. I peeked around the bedpost. The 3 frogs were clustered together under the middle of the bed. Frogs cannot hide like mice. They cannot run like mice either. All they can do, poor things, is hop about rather clumsily. Suddenly, the Grand High Witch's face came into view, peering under the bed. I popped my head back behind the bedpost. "So there you are, my little froggies," I heard her saying. "You can stay where you are until I go to bed, and then I shall throw you out the window and the seagulls can have you for supper." Suddenly, very loud and clear, there came the sound of my grandmother's voice through the open balcony. "Hurry up, my darling," it shouted. "Do hurry up, you'd better come out quickly." "Who is calling?" snapped the Grand High Witch. I peeped around the bedpost again and saw her walking across the carpet to the balcony door. "Who is this on my balcony?" she muttered. "Who is it? Who dares trespass on my balcony?" She went through the door onto the balcony itself. "What is this knitting wool hanging here?" I heard her saying. "Oh, hello," came my grandmother's voice. "I just dropped my knitting over the balcony by mistake, but it's all right. I've got a hold of it. I can pull it up by myself. Thank you all the same." I marveled at the coolness of her voice. "Who were you talking to just now?" snapped the Grand High Witch. "Who were you telling to hurry up and come out quickly?" "I was talking to my little grandson," I heard my grandmother saying. "He's been in the bathroom for hours, and it's time he came out. He sits in there reading books, and he forgets completely where he is. Do you have any children, my dear?" "I do not," shouted the Grand High Witch, and she came quickly back into the bedroom, slamming the balcony door behind her. I was cooked. My escape route was closed. I was shut up in the room with the Grand High Witch and 3 terrified frogs. I was just as terrified as the frogs. I was quite sure that if I was spotted, I would be caught and thrown out over the balcony for the seagulls. There came a knock on the bedroom door. "What is it this time?" shouted the Grand High Witch. "It is we, ancient ones," said a meek voice from behind the door. "It is 6 o'clock, and we have come to collect the bottles that you have promised us, oh, your grandness." I saw her crossing the carpet towards the door. The door was opened, and then I saw a whole lot of feet and shoes beginning to enter the room. They were coming in slowly and hesitantly, as though the owners of those shoes were frightened of entering. Come in," snapped the Grand High Witch. "Do not stand out there dithering in the corridor. I don't have all night." I saw my chance. I jumped up from behind the bedpost and ran like lightning towards the open door. I've decided that I like books with pictures like this. It's kind of a nice little break. I jumped over several pairs of shoes on the way, and in 3 seconds I was out in the corridor, still clutching the precious bottle to my chest. No one had seen me. There were no shouts of "Mouse, mouse." All I could hear were the voices of the ancient witches burbling their silly sentences about how kind your grandness is, and all the rest of it. I went scampering down the corridor to the stairs and up 1 flight. I went to the 5th floor and then along the corridor until I came to the door of my own bedroom. Thank goodness there was no one in sight. Using the bottom of the little bottle, I began tap, tap, tapping on the door. Tap, tap, tap. I went tap, 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 tap. Would my grandmother hear me? I thought that she must. The bottle made quite a loud tap each time it struck. Tap, 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 tap. Just so long as nobody came along the corridor. But the door didn't open. I decided to take a risk. "Grandmama," I shouted as loudly as I possibly could. "Grandmama, it's me, let me in." I heard her feet coming across the carpet and the door opened. I went in like an arrow. "I've done it," I cried, jumping up and down. "I've got it, Grandmama. Look, here it is. I've got a whole bottle of it." She closed the door and she bent down and picked me up and hugged me. "Oh, my darling," she cried. "Thank heavens you're safe." She took the little bottle from me and read the label out loud. "Formula 86, Delayed Action Mouse Maker," she read. "This bottle contains 500 doses. "You brilliant darling boy, you're a wonder, you're a marvel. How on earth did you get out of that room?" "I nipped out when the ancient witches were coming in," I told her. "It was all a bit hairy, Grandmama. I wouldn't do it again." "I saw her too," my grandmother said. "I know you did, Grandmama. I heard you talking to each other. Didn't you think she was absolutely foul?" "She's a murderer," my grandmother said. "She's the most evil woman in the entire world." "Do you see her mask?" I asked. "It's amazing," my grandmother said. "It looks just like a real face. Even though I knew it was a mask, I still couldn't tell." "Oh, my darling," she cried, giving me a hug. "I thought I'd never see you again. I'm so happy you got away." We'll read more tomorrow.